The almighty Dodge pooped in the bed. Yep, it pooped the bed. Just coming back from a ranch trip. I had made a couple detours heading farther north than the ranch. It had just completed a 350-mile journey, non-stop. Running like a top, like a sorry, I just had a cup of coffee and I just burped a little bit. Running like a dream. Oh, I just hit my shin on that. Dang it. Good grief, where am I? So scattered today. Just ran 350 miles straight without a hitch, like a well-oiled, finely tuned sewing machine. Dropped off Skippy at his house. You know, I had a couple miles of city driving just off the highway to let the turbo cool down, so it's not like anything overheated. Shut the engine down, dropped Skippy off, unloaded his stuff at his house, fired up, and it was not running. It sounded like a bag of marbles in a metal bag, if that makes sense. Metal box? I don't know. Anyhow, the injection pump, the VP44. Started throwing some engine codes. I don't have the engine codes in my head right now, but I'll put them up on the screen when I do post-production work. I'm going to try one thing. The game plan, if my one thing right now doesn't work, is to replace the injection pump, is to upgrade the Carter pump right there, rotary vane pump, with a fast direct replacement pump, and get a Bosch rebuilt injection pump. But there is one thing I do want to try before I pull that pin and spend that kind of do-re-mi. And supposedly I can do this without pulling the front cover off. I talked to Wayne over at the diesel stop. He gave me some tricks on how I can come through this front breather cover to pull the gear for this, but that'll be either later in this video or a different video. What I'm going to do is pull this cover off. I'm going to jiggle the harness just in case for some reason something got funky in the harness. But this thing ran really well, shut it off, didn't do anything to it other than try to turn the key again. So hang on, let's take this thing apart. It lets me see. I'm guessing, I think that's the injection pump, right? I don't even know what the hell I'm looking at, but I kind of do, but I kind of don't. I'm assuming I got to take this off. I'm going to have to give Wayne a call back. I don't think this is going to help, but if it saves me some money, hold on. I'm actually going to sit you guys down because I probably need two hands, but all I'm going to do is pull the harness, replug, and then we'll try to refire. So hold on. Okay. This goes much easier with two hands. So this piece here, this is how it orients on the back of the IP. You slide this all the way down. Actually, I had slid this probably 80% of the way and I wasn't getting it off, and I finally kind of regrouped and said, well, maybe this needs to slide out a little farther. So I gave it a little force and it slid out to where I can see these marks here, and the plug just fell right into my hands. Connections look good. There's plenty of dielectric grease on there. So we're just going to plug her back in. And fire it up, see what happens. Okay, so that's plugged back in, fully seated. The retaining clip is slid back in, that as well, fully seated. Yep. I don't know, man. You remember when I bought this truck, the lift pump was dust, and I didn't realize the lift pump was dust until I went to install a fuel pressure gauge. Actually, right here. When I put the fuel pressure gauge in, I couldn't get any pressure out of it. Further diagnostics, and again, I'm pretty green when it comes to diesel mechanicry and Cummins engines specifically. Yeah, turns out that lift pump was dead. I don't know how long that lift pump was dead from the previous owner, and I replaced that pump. I got about 13 pounds at idle. When I'm under heavy tow, when I was towing the Suburban home, I think it was about an 8,000 pound tow off the bumper. 6% grade was pretty standard coming out in and out of the mountains. It dropped to about 9, yeah, which from people that I'm talking to, 8 pounds is like the absolute minimum, and that just, my eyes are always on the gauge. So, and I know people told me, oh man, with that lift pump dead, your injection pump's soon to follow. And I guess it was, I don't know, I got almost 2 years of driving out of this pump. I put close to 30,000 miles on this truck, 28 I think, since I bought it. And I changed that injection pump, or the lift pump, excuse me, shortly after I bought this thing. So 28, 29, 30,000 miles on the pump isn't horrible. And I didn't have to get this thing towed home. I was able to limp it home, surprisingly enough. So if anything, this truck gets a pat on the back for not leaving me stranded and having to go on the hook. So I'm going to go ahead and get in there and turn the key. I'll leave this camera running so you guys can hear what it sounds like, but I'm not optimistic that that fixed it. I'm pretty sure this pump's dead, and it's fine. It's an acceptable loss. I'm not into this truck for a lot of money, and it's been really, really good over the last 2 years. It's been quite a runner. So let me set you down, grab my keys. I do, hold on. See if that doesn't fall into the engine. Yeah, that pump is holding it at 13 pounds, so I do have pressure at the can there, the filter can, but now it's not even firing. I know if I hold it for longer, that's what it took. It took 15 seconds at least of cranking before I could even get it to idle. Basically, I had to drive it home and idle. But fortunately, Skippy only lives a few miles from the house, and it was just limped it home. Yeah, so any tips or tricks? Anybody that's done these pumps before? I appreciate any feedback. I've got a pretty good handle on it, I think, after talking to Wayne over at the diesel stop. I'm certainly going to meet and confer with him before I actually do the work, but this week I'm going to get these parts ordered. A new Bosch, or a rebuilt Bosch injection pump, and the fast direct replacement pump that mounts right there in the same spot, uses the same harness. But they say it's supposed to hold it at about 23 pounds of pressure. Right now I got 13 at idle. So we'll see. And yeah, we'll see. Oh well, it's been a good truck, or it is a good truck. I'm not even going to call it bin. I'm not putting it in the has been. But stay tuned. The fun only begins. Gotta go, gotta run. See ya.